This jobs data just came out and it will shock you. It is the worst jobs report we have seen since the cerveza sickness. That's right, since 5 years ago when the world entirely shut down. Now, that's not just a clickbait headline. That's this actual headline here, where we are seeing a dramatic shift in the overall jobs numbers here, and it is a dramatic decline. We've got the jobs report coming in at negative 33,000 jobs when there was 98,000 jobs expected to be added. You can't make this shit up. It's honestly shocking how much we're seeing. The private sector losing 33,000 jobs is badly missing expectations, and the private sector is hiring unexpectedly contracted in June. Payrolls processing from ADP is down significantly, and it's not just me saying this. I've been screaming to you guys on this channel for a while, saying that it's a potential sign of a recession. Now, this is CNBC saying it's a potential sign that the economy may not be as sturdy as investors believe. So, with all of this being said, the consumer has been showing a lot of cracks recently. We've seen consumer confidence fall down dramatically. We're seeing the jobs report here be significantly worse than expected. And we've seen headlines saying that hiring is slowing as well. So why is MarketWatch now saying, hey, we need to be very skeptical of this ADP reports, even though it's saying that the economy lost jobs? Because as you guys know, there's 3 different jobs reports that we look at. I reported on the jobs report or the JOLTS job report last week. And then we're also seeing, this ADP jobs report come out right now. So MarketWatch is saying that the ADP needs to be very skeptical because the U.S. economy, they're saying, hey, did this really lose a bunch of jobs in June? It's the first time they've lost jobs since the pandemic. The payroll kings of ADP says that, yes, investors ought to retreat. But hey, if you look at this Zero Hedge article, I like to put it here, right? I mean, they've got a great chart here. Oh, of course, now they want to show me an ad. But this ADP report is showing this first drop. But we've also seen a gradual decline here in the last couple months as well, with March skyrocketing up. And then, April comes slightly down. And then before June, in May, we had the lowest report we've had since that negative report. So all signs have been indicating a huge negative drop-off. So the reality is that this report is probably on par. The headline print saw a 33K drop in June and a downward revision of 29K in May. So that's right. They're cutting these job reports and making them smaller and smaller every time they go back and look at the data. And the interesting thing about all of this is that Jerome Powell is all going to make his decisions based on backwards-looking data. So it's only right that we're looking at this data right now to see and project what is going to happen going forward. So if we look at this, the headline print slowing down dramatically. It's a 5 sigma miss from expectations. I mean, it's honestly incredible that we're seeing such a dramatic drop-off. A projection of 100,000 jobs to be added to then result in 33K. That 5 sigma drop is absolutely massive. So we're going to continue to see these reports, and I think this is just the start of negative headlines that we're going to start to see in the overall economy. Reason being is the market isn't all that it seems. It's been projected to skyrocket and go and keep on going up. But the reality is that Jerome Powell wouldn't keep interest rates very high, and Donald Trump wouldn't be screaming to lower interest rates if the economy was all peaches and daisies. So what we're seeing is a lot of issues here, and they're starting to come and surface up. So we're looking at the jobs report from CNN, reporting it from last Friday, saying that, hey, it's not so bad. Friday's job report could show how much U.S. employers will bend before they break. And this is about the JOLTS report that we was talking about earlier today. That said, last June, after almost a full year, he's talking about a story here. But upon Liberation Day, everybody said, and Liberation Day was the day that the tariffs would blow off. everybody would be unemployed. But what we're seeing is unemployment rates are staying relatively steady. But the jobs report is saying otherwise, that, hey, even though there's low unemployment, nobody's going to be able to find a job if they were to get laid off. And these jobs reports show worse drops in a massive, quote, massive blow to the Trump economy. So although Donald Trump is saying, hey, you know what? We're having a great economy. We're looking for a lot of great things here going forward. The reality is that he's had a mess that he has to clean up, and it's not clean just yet, right? So we're going to look at Donnie T's economy here going forward, and how this private sector is continuing to shrink the economy in a worrying sign for the US. But these private payrolls and the worrying data, the first decrease since 2023, suggests the US economy could be a lot less resilient than investors have been hoping for. And so hiring is also slowing. Go figure, with the amount of jobs decreasing. So the consumer is going to be hurting, right? I mean, I've been telling you guys on this channel for a while that when we look at these reports, when we look at the overall economic numbers, when we see the tariffs happen, we're not going to see the layover effects from all of these until months after. So when did we start seeing inflation? Well, you guys are all feeling inflation, the feeling of that effect now. But if you remember back when they were printing money, handing out stimmy checks in late 2020, early 21, everybody was jumping for joy. The economy was great. Everybody was saying at that time, hey, we're going to have to worry about inflation, but in the future, right? So the tariffs are no different. We're going to see the layover effects of that down the line. But what we're seeing right now is that employers are doing a more of wait and see approach. And that's why hiring is freezing. That's why jobs are freezing. And that's why the narrative of no jobs and no hiring is stemming from various factors, like the economic factors here, with high interest rates that can make it more expensive for companies to borrow money, leading to the reduced investment in hiring. And some companies are even delaying these hirings too. I don't know about you guys, but I've heard some stories through the grapevines that people go through multiple rounds of interviews, don't hear anything for months, and then now all of a sudden they're starting to get some feedback. I mean, I'm getting rejection emails from jobs that I applied for over a year ago today. So, all of these things just show that there's maybe a saturated job market in some, but that job searching and the overall job market isn't as good as we are being led to believe. And so what is that leading to? It's leading to weaker consumer spending. So the job market's getting worse. People are seemingly not spending as much money. But on the flip side of things, the market is doing well. So I went over this yesterday in another live stream, but it's essentially looking a lot like an asset inflated bubble. And so these inflation bubbles can cause, a blow off the top where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But a lot of factors have to occur for this to actually happen. And I think that once the interest rates start to lower, which Donald Trump is essentially banging the drum and trying to get the Fed to lower interest rates as soon as possible. Once that happens, we're going to see a giant skyrocket up for the S&P 500, for all of these different, Tesla stocks. Even though Elon is over here complaining, we're going to start to see these things really take into effect. So it's just going to be a matter of time until we start to see that. But first, we need those interest rates to be cut. We need more liquidity in the market. And, I went over this earlier, but there's 3 different job reports, and another came in today saying that there's now, instead of 33,000 jobs lost, 147,000 jobs were added, smashing expectations in the other direction, but the unemployment rate has now dropped. So take for this information what you will, but the jobs data is very interesting. Like, who are you going to listen to? The JOLTS report, which is more mailed in, ADP, which is the biggest payroll, or, this other jobs report that was released today. So the ADP print being negative, we're starting to see the payrolls and the upward revise of that May print. But the University of Michigan is now saying that, hey, we've got a lot of jobs being added, right? And the University of Michigan also famously conducts the study for consumer confidence. So there's a mixed bag in the overall jobs market right now. And what is that leading to? Well, that's leading to a lot of people like Zero Hedge basically saying, hey, it's looking like no rate cut in July and probably not in September either. Well, luckily, as you guys know, I love to check the CME odds, which give it to us real time here. And the odds of a rate cut in, let's see, when is that? 27 days from now. So in just about a month from now is about 25%. Now, look, I'm not a betting man, but that's less likely than not. But I will say that when I was starting to track this last month, we never saw it get above 10%. So the fact that we're seeing it at 25% now, I think is something to really keep a close eye on and really take note of. So, we have 25% chance that we're going to cut interest rates and Jerome Powell actually bends the knee. But the reason why I don't think he's going to is because of this Dixie chart that we've got here. So the Dixie, as you guys know, who come to this channel all the time, we've got 80% of you guys that come here all the time and are not subscribed. So help me get to that 1,000 subs, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you're liking and enjoying this. And man, look at this green candle we've got here from this Dixie chart, where we just had the Dixie go from under 96. It looks like 96.8, just all the way shoot up within a minute from 96.8 to like 97.3. You don't see moves like that in the Dixie very often. Of course, it came down and it's now leveling out around 97.1 as we're getting this market open coming here. And how is the market reacting? Well, as I was telling you guys earlier, we're starting to see where the asset bubble really start to come out, right? So we're starting to see S&P 500. It's always opening green, popping up, looking good. So we've got that asset bubble now up 77.77% on the day. And we've got the legend in the chat, McLovin. How we doing, man? Good morning. Thank you for smoking that like. I appreciate you always coming on in. But we've got some doom and gloom news here, but it's all flip-flopping back and forth. These job reports, it always blows my mind how different all of the jobs reports are. We get 3 of them, the JOLTS, the ADP, and then the non-farm payrolls. The non-farm payrolls actually look like it was about level from last month on the amount that was added. So I don't know, maybe these non-farm payrolls, maybe, just maybe, because we didn't see an increase, no jobs were added and nobody was hired. That could be another factor here. But you see whatever you want to see in the data, right? I mean, data analytics, you can really tell a wild story no matter which way you look at it. So thank you guys all for coming out to this great live stream. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys all at the next one.